Oops, wrong button.
Oh, we're already live. Hope y'all enjoy that. Well, welcome to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast, where we talk about all things Star Wars. My name is James.
And my name is David.
That was a little funny little bit there at the beginning, but yes. Before we get going, David, I believe you have some names to thank for us.
Yes, I have a few names here. All of our top tier Patreon supporters on Patreon: Hayden Hauser, Darth Ace 1, Liam McCallion, Chris Simpson, Kevin Leininger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Maka Tautala, Adam Haber, Brad Mackey, Front Row King, and Darth Beard. Thank you so much for all the awesome love and support you give to our podcast. You help fund our trips, fund our equipment, fund our swag. Thank you so much. You keep us going, and we love you.
Oops, sorry. And I will say I'm still mad that Darth Beard took the name before me. Like I feel like I could have used that name, instead. But anyways,
Such a ginormous missed opportunity there. But yeah, I guess a
oh,
life
speaking of
update.
Darth Beard, sorry, Darth Beard has arrived. What's up, boys? We were
What's
just
up,
talking
Darth
about
Beard?
you. Hello. But yes.
So yeah, what I was gonna mention was we haven't been podcasting as much because I think some life events happened for me personally. Um, my daughter was in a car wreck. She's fine, but we had to deal with all the insurance and all of that stuff, and I kind of wanted to spend more time with the family, so that's why we kind of took a little bit of a hiatus. And the Acolyte was done. There was no more TV shows, no more episodes to talk about, so we took a little bit of a break. But I think we're going to come back here pretty strong. So just wanted to give everyone an update. So some big news that I think is worth talking about here. You can see it in the title. There's new TV shows. There's an article out in regards to possible new TV shows. There's nothing in. It's all in sand, I think. And of course, Star Wars has had that track record where
It's all
they
in
will give
sand.
us announcements occasionally, and it's they don't happen. So every time we hear news like this, we want to take it with a grain of salt. But of course, we do know a couple things like Hayden Christensen is kind of back in the fold in a big way. He's going to do a convention here coming up in October. He just did one in, I believe, the Northeast, along with Rosario Dawson and a couple of other people. But yeah, SpaceCon is something that's happening in October, right in my backyard in San Antonio, Texas. So if you can get tickets for that, I know it's going to be a super popular event because as of right now, there are 13 total Star Wars celebrities showing up, and I guess a voice actor. Matthew Wood is showing up. He's the voice of General Grievous, and he's the heir to the Ben Burt role for capturing sound and creating sounds, and he's also one of the guys that I think, along with Sam Witwer, does the voices when they need a voice and voice manipulation. So he will be there. Let's see if I can name them all, actually. So Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Rosario Dawson, Giancarlo Esposito, Ray Park, Gina Carano, Katie Sackhoff, Ming Na Wen, Natasha Lou Berdizzo, Iman Esfandi, Matthew Wood, and I'm missing two people. Who are they, James?
I don't know. I thought you had them all. I was like, oh wow, you
Because
did
I
it.
believe it's 13 total Star Wars celebrities. Who am I missing? Anyways, yeah, there's 13. Just take my word for it. There's so many that I can't even name. I can't even remember all the names. But it's gonna be a huge event. I'll be there. James might be there. Colin will be there. Zach will be there. So it should be a lot of fun, and we should be close to the stage. And I think this year, the way it's set up, there's going to be just one single stage where you don't have to walk outside to the arena. It's just going to be
Mm.
all right there. So, yeah, it should be interesting. Might be a little hectic.
And and hopefully Hayden Christensen lets us know that one of these new shows is his new show that they're going to be announcing here very soon. Um,
Right.
we'll see, but I I don't know. Uh, it's a reliable source that says there are new TV shows that are being discussed with Lucasfilm that they haven't announced yet. Um, and yeah, apparently it's many TV shows. It's not just a few, it's many. And I remember the other day I had, said that I think the Disney Plus era is over for Star Wars for a few years, but apparently it's not. Apparently we're going to be getting more. Um, I heard something interesting, which is Acolyte season 2 is canceled because there isn't an Acolyte anymore. Now this it's going to be a different title, not the Acolyte. So that's what I've heard, and I've heard that they said this is somebody just theorizing. They've canceled Acolyte to not confuse anybody about the second season or the next season that's going to come out. Um, but yeah, so Darth Beard says Ahsoka season 2, which we already know, Obi-Wan season 2, Darth Vader season 1, Darth Plagueis the Y season 1, and Knights of the Old Republic season 1. That's pretty good.
Okay, so let me tell you what I heard, and this is all derived from Jeff Snyder, who's a Hollywood insider. He basically said that he reported that Acolyte season 2 was a go. It was greenlit, and this was during the D23 time, and Manny Jacinto was told, "Hey, don't say anything about Acolyte season 2 because just don't. We need to announce it." So during that time frame, and now, or a couple days ago, Disney decided not to go through with the season 2. Um, the numbers apparently were not great. I know we reported the numbers were good. I mean, there's different websites saying one
Mhm.
thing, other websites saying another thing. Streaming numbers are kind of tricky in a way because I don't think Netflix or Disney Plus really report them, and we're relying on like third party companies like I think Parrot Analytics and places like that. And of course, with a series as divisive as Acolyte, you just kind of never know. But the final numbers that are being shared across the internet are the fact that the Acolyte never cracked the top 10 in streaming until the finale. That was the only episode that cracked the top 10. And after the first two episodes that aired for the Acolyte, viewership just plummeted. So that apparently is the story with the Acolyte numbers. So it's kind of like there you have it. I mean, it's a business and they got to make money and they have to have viewers on streaming platforms. So it didn't really come through. So no viewership, no second season. Even though, of course, they kind of introduced Plagueis and Yoda, and kind of like hindsight here, it's like maybe they should have done that in the beginning. But then again, you'd have just this empty series of no Plagueis and no Yoda. So I can see why they kind of did that. But also, the other big thing is the fact that we reported on the rumor that Keanu Reeves was hanging around Lucasfilm, and apparently that was true. And Leslie Headland tried to get Keanu Reeves to play the role of Soul, Lee Jung Jae's character,
Wow.
and he said no. He turned it down because of scheduling conflicts. So we could have had this in the Acolyte.
And
We could have
what's
had Neo and Trinity in
and
the
what's
Acolyte.
what's crazy is that would have been huge. Like everybody would have rushed to watch Keanu Reeves at that role in Star Wars. That would have been really massive
Right,
if he was in there. But
but the fan cast for a long time now has been Revan. We want to see Keanu Reeves play Revan. Um, I'm not quite sure if the current regime is going to jump on that, because you would have figured they would have jumped on that a long time ago. So it's just kind of a wait and see. We do. I think Keanu Reeves essentially, and this is me kind of speculating. He said, "I won't do this, but I'll just keep me in mind for something in the future because people are thinking he didn't like the script for the Acolyte. I don't know if that's just a conjecture or what, but
Hmm.
people are kind of projecting that when he said he had scheduling conflict, he just didn't like the script. But to me, that could go either way. That could just be false information. But I mean, I don't know. I personally, I didn't have any real big issues with the Acolyte. The only issues I think I had was the fact that it felt kind of small, and it felt like we didn't see all the money on the screen. I think they could have done a lot more. Just in that skeleton crew trailer alone, it looks like they're doing like really
Yeah, you
big
can see the
things.
money in that
Yeah.
trailer, and I've heard a lot of complaints about the acolyte, the budget. Like it's like the money wasn't there on the screen. Where did that money go? This because each episode was how much again? It was like it was an insane amount of money per episode, but
I think it was 180 million total.
that's ridiculous. But no, I agree. It was a little bit smaller. I mean, my issues were just a few little things, but yeah, it's interesting to think that Lucasfilm, even after the Acolyte is canceled, they're still saying, "Oh, we have more shows." Like Disney is going to let
Well,
us
this isn't
do.
Lucasfilm saying it. It's really Jeff Snyder saying this.
Oh, that there's more
And
episodes.
yeah,
Well, he's an
yeah,
insider though, so hopefully
yeah.
he's.
And it's a weird thing because of course we got Bob Iger saying we need to pull back and concentrate on quality over quantity, and now we have this report. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this report off of Bespin Bulletin here, and I'll put up a picture so you don't stare at me. This is from Bespin Bulletin. Lucasfilm reportedly have multiple unannounced Star Wars TV series in development. Last month, The Acolyte wrapped amid a divisive response from the fans that was promptly canceled earlier this week due to poor viewership. As Star Wars fans and Lucasfilm dust themselves off and look into the future, Skeleton Crew awaits on the horizon with its December release, a series co-created by Spider-Man Homecoming duo John Watts and Christopher Ford. Set during the same time period as The Mandalorian and follows a group of children that get lost in the galaxy far, far away and seek to find their way back home. Skeleton Crew is just one of the three shows left to release that Lucasfilm have announced and will be followed by the second and final season of the critically acclaimed Andor next year and a second season of Ahsoka, likely to arrive in 2026. Star Wars fans have a lot to look forward to with the three series mentioned and a plethora of announced movies, with the first, The Mandalorian Grogu, due to arrive in theaters on May 22nd, 2026. However, some fans have been wondering about the future of live action Star Wars television, whether we'll see a slowdown due to Disney Plus's cutbacks and amid a handful of movies slated to release in the upcoming years. In this latest newsletter, Jeff Snyder of thesnyder.com has revealed that Lucasfilm at this time have several new shows that simply haven't been announced in development. Snyder provided no insight as to what these series are, but hearing Lucasfilm are hard at work on the TV side of things will likely delight fans amid Disney focusing their efforts on theatrical releases, switching their focus from Disney Plus, which was the company's priority for a handful of years. It shouldn't be too much of a surprise that Lucasfilm are preparing future series for Disney Plus. Disney and Lucasfilm will likely pull back on the number of Star Wars shows they'd like to release in a single year as Star Wars movies start to hit theaters. Disney and Marvel Studios are set to pull back on the number of TV series that release on the streaming service as Marvel Studios and its parent company look to adopt a quality over quantity approach, which likely won't come to fruition for a couple of years given that Marvel Studios already has 4 live action series filmed and ready to release over the next 12 months. Agatha All Along, Daredevil Born Again, Ironheart, and Wonder Man. We likely won't see one of these new Star Wars series until 2027 at the earliest, given that Ahsoka Season 2 is likely to release in 2026. And Lucasfilm are currently slated to release 2 brand new Star Wars movies into theaters in 2026. As for when we get announcements for these new shows, the obvious answer seems to be Star Wars Celebration 2025, which Star Wars Stuff Podcast will be at. Takes place April 18th through the 20th in Japan. Lucasfilm are entering next Celebration with almost all the shows they debuted footage for at Celebration 2023 released, the only exception being Andor Season 2. At the time of the next Celebration, none of the Star Wars movies announced at Celebration 2023 will have been released. New Jedi Order, Dawn of the Jedi, Mandoverse crossover, nor the films announced after the fact, The Mandalorian Grogu, and the entitled Sean Levy film. Lucasfilm will more than likely look to give those in attendance something to scream and shout with joy about, and announcing a new TV series would be perfect in doing so, along with including updates on a few of the movies. And the writer says, I also have a sneaky suspicion that Lucasfilm will announce a project at the event with Godzilla Minus One director Takashi Yamazaki. That's not
Hmm.
based on any information. It's just simply just a personal feeling. So there you go. What do you think about all that, James?
Well, I don't know because like when it comes to Celebration and announcements at Celebration, we already know pretty much what's going to be announced. We already know pretty much what's going to be there. The panels are already set up. The only thing that would be like, future of Lucasfilm, you know what I mean? But even then, you already know what's about to happen. They really don't announce anything new at Star Wars Celebration.
Well, in London, they gave us the Daisy Ridley movie.
Well, oh, that's right. They did give us a Daisy Ridley movie. But I don't know. It feels I would be very surprised if Star Wars Celebration did announce new shows and new movies while during the ceremony. Like I don't know. It just feels the past times that I've gone to Celebration, they really haven't announced anything new. It's always been we already knew that was going to happen. That they had a panel on Tales of the Jedi. You know what I mean? Like I saw the episode of Tales of the Jedi before anyone else did. You know what I mean? And they're in Skeleton Crew. You knew Skeleton Crew was already out. You already knew the Acolyte was a thing. You know what I mean? So I don't understand why Lucasfilm just doesn't just tell us right away what they are doing. And I don't know. I go back to the prequel era whenever George Lucas was like, "This is what is going to be in the movie." Like, yeah, there's a few surprises, but this is pretty much what the movie is. He released posters, he released trailers. There were so many. There was books already. There was magazine articles of pictures of the movie and things to look forward to. And it just feels strange that Lucasfilm is just trying to hold it all back for a later use. I feel like Lucasfilm and us as fans would appreciate it more if they would just give it to us. They would just, of course, hide the twist, hide the meat, but letting us know in advance so we can be hyped about this stuff. And I think Lucasfilm relies on the Star Wars name alone to get us hyped, but I think that's a mistake. I feel like they should be telling us in advance, and we're going to be excited for it. You know what I mean? Like, what's so wrong about announcing something now that look forward to this at the end of 2025, this new show about the Knights of the Old, you know what I mean? We would just be pumped the whole year waiting for that. I don't know. I feel like Lucasfilm needs to change how they announce their projects. And I feel like having a bunch of things unannounced is a mistake. I feel like if you want us all excited and all on board, you need to tell us. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, I to me, it feels like their thinking is they need something for celebration. Like the article said, they need a big pop, and I think a big pop would be to announce finally the Darth Vader series, bring Hayden Christensen on
Yeah, that'd be
stage, like what they
huge.
did with Daisy Ridley. We'd freak out. It would be the talk of the internet for probably the rest of that day, and it feels like if they do that, they're not going to give us any information surrounding it, and we're just going to be like speculating.
But how come that's the way it is? You know what I mean? Why does it have to be that way? That's what I don't
It
like.
it might go back to the fact that everything's written in sand. It's never written in stone. Stuff can change so easily.
Mm.
Um, you think back to the Investor Day call. I mean, we never got Rangers of the New Republic, which can be attributed to like the cancel culture thing. We never got the
Wasn't it
Lando
Wonder Woman
series. We,
1984 that also killed it?
yeah. I mean, a series of events, maybe a few variables there. Yeah, the Lando series. I don't think that's gonna happen, man.
Yeah.
It just feels like Donald Glover's doing his thing. Him and his brother just chilling. He did a concert the other night, um, and he seems very, very in tune with that right now. Um, and what else? Rogue Squadron. They say that's shelved, and hopefully a director swoops in and takes over
Mm.
that. That'd
Oh
be
yeah, that's right. I
fantastic.
mixed those two up. Yeah, the Rogue
Yeah.
Squadron and the Knights of the or not the Knights, the Rangers of the Republic. Yeah,
Right, right. And they gave us that big timeline, which has Old Republic on it. It's like, are we going to do something with that?
yeah.
Or.
It's like it's y'all canonized it, if you may. It's like, okay, so
Yeah.
what are you gonna? And I always think that the acolyte was a test for them to see how far back they can go and the audiences embrace it or not embrace it. Because I felt like if the acolyte would have worked and the acolyte, would have introduced us, which it did, to Darth Plagueis, that they would have said, okay, now we can go further back and now we can start to explain more of that. We can get to the Knights of the Old Republic. And because the acolyte didn't do well, it's like, okay, is Lucasfilm still gonna go with that? I don't know. And then again, that was speculation on my part that that's how they were gonna introduce the Knights of the Old Republic, was through the acolyte. But I don't know. I just wish it was like when you and I were young, when the prequels were coming out, and how it just felt like every day or every week there was something there. Like there was a magazine with articles and like pictures of what was going to be in the next movie, and like a little bit of this person talking about this, and we knew the cast months almost a year in advance of who was going to be in there. I feel like Lucasfilm needs to go back to that and get us all hyped again. That's what I think needs to happen.
Yeah, they need a position. Lucasfilm hype person.
Yeah, the hype person. Yeah, hire
Yeah.
David and I. We'll be the hype people. Don't worry, we know what
I
y'all
wish.
we
Yeah,
know what y'all
Lucasfilm.
want.
Yeah, Lucasfilm, you're listening. We want to be employed by you and be the hype squad and hype it all up.
Hype it all up.
But don't you? So, I mean, going behind the curtain and knowing things, how would that affect you, James? How would you? How would
Oh,
that
I've
affect the
thought about
fandom for
this.
Star Wars? I
I've
mean,
I've thought about
if
this
you know certain plot details, like the story group does, you think about. I think about them and like how they're super fans, but they know everything. They're not going to be surprised. How does that affect you, James?
I think for me personally, say if I wrote a Star Wars movie, um, and I know what's everything that's going to happen. I know everything that's going to happen. I put it together. I think it would be my responsibility. I would feel responsible to make sure it's as amazing in my head. Uh, how it is in my head is exactly how it's going to be on screen, because you want a new generation, a new audience to just be amazed by it. So I feel like in my brain, it would just make me feel more responsible and try harder to make sure it is as amazing as it can possibly be in my head. Yeah, I think that's how it would affect me. And I would be bummed knowing like, oh man, okay, so I know who Grogu's parents are, but it's cool because in the end, the audience is going to know it. So let's make sure we make it just as cool for them as it is for me knowing about it.
So, is there a fine balance between? I mean, you hear this term all the time on the internet, and I hate it. It's people talk about like we talk about it on the podcast all the time, where there's a good way and a very very bad way to do Easter eggs and nostalgia, and now the term is member berries. People say member berries now. You haven't heard that?
I have not heard that. That is
So
weird.
so yeah, so people will say that. And there's also another term out there. I'm not sure if I can say it, but
Don't say it then.
it's actually a title of another podcast, and I think Colin's been on that podcast. But I mean, putting when I heard them announce the Acolyte, I was like, "That's gonna be a Plagueis series. I guarantee it. It has to be something with Plagueis or young Palpatine. There's
Mhm.
something that's gonna flow. They're gonna do it, and we're gonna get it. You'll see." And we didn't get that.
Well, you know what we got though? We got the Phantom Menace out of the Acolyte. You know what I mean? Because like when you first heard of the Phantom Menace, you're in your brain, you were like, I'm going to see Obi-Wan and Anakin in action this first movie. Anakin and Obi-Wan are gonna be, going to is gonna be awesome. But then you get it and you're like, oh, Anakin's a kid. So, oh, that's not the movie I thought it was going to be. Now it's just introducing the kid that's going to end up becoming Darth Vader. And then in the second movie, we all thought, oh, he's going to become Darth Vader. And then you're like, oh, no, he's not. He's on his way there. Then we get to Revenge of the Sith, and ultimately he became Darth Vader. I feel like the Acolyte was taking that similar approach where we were like, oh, we're going to get Plagueis, we're going to get Palpatine. It's like, no, we're going to go further back, and then we're gonna the next time you're gonna be able to see what's. I feel like that's I feel like we got Phantom Menace with the Acolyte season 1, if that's a term. I think I'm gonna coin that term, but
I don't agree with that, James,
oh,
because
okay.
we got what you say, but we still got the DNA of Star Wars. We got the
Mhm.
space battle. We got the big lightsaber battle that we were craving, that everyone
Okay.
wanted to see Jedi in action together for the first time, going up against in their heyday against a Sith. We also got the blowing up of the space station Death Star.
Well, I think yeah,
We got the ground battle. I mean, all that was there. There's no real precedent for the Acolyte TV show. So I see what you're saying with like the Phantom Menace style of the way it was, but there was not enough connective tissue. I mean, I
mm.
think that's a better way to say member berries.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's not use that. Let's just not say that. That just sounds weird to say. Um Somebody asked, were you guys at D23 for the Mando movie teaser?
In spirit. Okay, so actually, Colin's wife was there, which, yeah, I don't know. All of a sudden, Colin was like, "Yeah, my wife's gonna be there," and we're like, "Okay." I had just come back from San Diego Comic Con, and I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna fly back out there," but maybe in the future. To me, I didn't think D23 was like a fan thing. I thought it was more like an industry thing. So I never really kind of looked into it. And this was
Mhm.
the first year they had a big presentation in the Honda Center,
Yeah.
which holds like a lot of people, man, like 18,000 people or
Yeah,
something.
it's a pretty big I've been by there. It's a pretty big arena.
So, and even when you do stick the stage there, I guess you kind of take it down to what, like 13,000 people, but still, that's more than Hall H. Hall H is like what, 6,500 people. The arena in the Anaheim Convention Center, that's, I want to say maybe 8,000 people, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's D23 is something I'm looking forward to possibly going to next year, or not next year, but because it's biannual, so it would be 2026.
I just don't understand why they do exclusive D23 things. Not, you know what I mean? Remember when Rise of Skywalker came out, we got that exclusive D23 trailer, but then Monday they dropped it for everybody to watch. I think that's what's also making us Star Wars fans upset is like they're like, "Oh, you have to go to these exclusive things in order to see." And it's like, "Why?" Yeah, you could show it to us first, but please release it to everyone else. You know, that would be really nice. We would all love to see a glimpse of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I mean,
Right.
what's the damage of releasing that to the public?
So yeah, we talked about this before because I mean it all leaked online via very like pixelated video, and
Mhm.
it's like, wouldn't Lucasfilm want it to be in like glorious 4K? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I mean, I think there's a huge disconnect there because when they say, "Oh, it's just for you guys in the room," but okay, yeah, you guys in the room, you get it first, and then it's gonna be pirated and put out there by someone. There's gonna be at least one person who doesn't follow the rules, records it, and puts it up all grainy and stuff, and that's what the fans get to look at.
Yeah, that's the
Now,
first
if
look
that's
of it.
like their strategy for like hyping up the project, I guess, but I mean, you get more views on YouTube if it's in 4K. More people will be talking about it. Except outside of like our like little like crazy super huge fan bubble that we have. I mean, that would be to me the best strategy. And even at Celebration, we talked about this in London. They showed us all this exclusive stuff, and they never dropped it for the public. And it's like even the people that were there inside the
Oh,
XL Center in London couldn't watch it if they didn't win the lottery to get into the rooms.
yep.
So
Don't
I
even get me
mean,
started. No, no, no,
I
man.
traveled across the Atlantic Ocean for
I
this, risked my life.
I am so glad I lived in Anaheim for a Celebration Anaheim because I didn't get any I didn't win any lottery. I just was luckily lived, 10 minutes away and I just got to go there and just, hang out and everything. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was a major bummer that they were doing that for the fans, for people who were there and they're like, "Oh, you don't get to see it because you didn't get to go into the room." And it's like, "Come on." And I just think it's bizarre. I just think it's crazy that Lucasfilm. I don't know. I don't know if it's Lucasfilm because this all started with Disney, so it might be Disney who's like just really doing this weird approach to how they're promoting and advertising Star Wars. It doesn't make any sense really how they're doing this and how they're just keeping us in the dark And it's like, well, why? Let us know. Let us, yeah, like you said, there's new TV shows. Let us know the new TV shows. Let us know the ones that y'all are gonna be going into production. And like you said, yeah, there is a chance that it could get canceled, but uh, I guarantee you, the moment they greenlight whatever show it is, they're not going to tell us for a long time. They're just going to announce it one day, like, oh, by the way, this show is going to be coming out.
I had this idea a long time ago. Tell me if it's ridiculous or not.
I'm going to tell you it's ridiculous.
So, if I were running Lucasfilm on the website, all these like perspective, I don't know, it's when you think about it, it's probably not going to work. But if you have on the website a chance to vote for the project you want, I know there's a way to gamify that and like mess with the numbers,
That's
but
crazy. That's crazy.
that would be interesting to see if you put like Vader series, Palpatine series, Acolyte season 2. What's going to get the most hits? But I mean, of course, in our culture, I mean, people like just review bomb stuff, so they could do the opposite on that website, where they could like nerf it a whole bunch.
Yeah, I want to I want to sit all those so-called Star Wars fans, the group I'm talking about. I want to sit them all in a room, and I want to say, okay, what project do you want to see? What is the project that will make you very happy
That
right
would be
now?
really cool at Celebration to have like a focus groups and
Yeah,
like pull people into rooms.
and I just don't understand, like, because even what you just said sounds great. They're gonna complain. Somebody's gonna complain about it. They're gonna review
Well,
bomb
I think someone's
whatever.
gonna hack the website and make it weird. I think that's what's gonna happen. But I mean,
Yeah,
in a perfect world, it'd be nice to vote on the most wanted project.
that's wild, and I,
What?
I think it's wild. I don't think it would work, but
Yeah.
it would be cool. But that sounds like a very scary thing for Disney to like.
Well, no, Disney would put up the projects that they're
No, I'm saying,
intending to
but to
make.
like leave
Yeah.
it in our hands. You know what I mean? Like leave it in the hands of.
But I mean, who? I mean, who are they making this for?
Yeah, exactly. Who
They're making
else
it
would
for us.
know? Yeah, that's true.
I
So maybe
mean,
you're not so crazy.
when you look at the Acolyte cancellation of season 2, they canceled it because of money, because of viewership, because of the
Yeah,
people. The people voted with not watching it, and that was what I was saying all along. All these criticisms. It's like, well, if you don't like the Acolyte, don't watch it. And apparently, a lot of people didn't. So, no more season 2.
what made me laugh was I've heard this thing about movies as well, which is people are online right now, like on threads, and they're like, I just watched Acolyte finally, and it's amazing. I don't know why people hated it. And other people are like, I just watched it finally, and it's awesome and it's great. And it's like they Disney was only looking at who was watching it then. They don't care who's gonna watch it in the future. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if you're gonna cancel something, Disney, you need to let it be released and let the audience, let that crowd find it and watch it. And it's so shocking that they do that. They just go, it wasn't even gone for a month, and out for a whole month, and they're like, I cancel it. It's not gonna do. We're not gonna do a second season. And it's like you gotta let the audience find it. You gotta let people find it, and people we're in binge watching culture now. I know that sounds weird for you and I because we grew up not binge watching anything, but now that's the way to watch stuff. And people are, you would not believe how many times I hear people say, I'm going to wait till it's all out, then I'm going to binge watch it.
I've heard
That's
that from people.
exactly what they say. And I'm like, you're kind of ruining the numbers and you're going to mess it up for all of us who are watching it each week because Disney only looks at who's watching it as it's airing. They don't care if you're going to binge watch it 2 months from now.
Yeah,
And
but then again, they don't care either. So it's like
yeah, true. Yeah.
it's just one of those tricky things. But
Most complain about didn't even watch Acolyte, or they? Yeah, that's true. They only watched a couple of episodes. Maybe
well,
they'll
that's what
bring
the
it
numbers
back.
say. There's a huge drop off in viewership after episode 2.
And then maybe they'll bring it back like they did for Futurama. Yeah, there's a lot of shows they brought back from
Yeah.
the dead. So
So the
yeah,
other thing in response to this was people started freaking out over the fact that the Disney store removed all the
yeah,
Acolyte merchandise, and um, people were wildly speculating why that was. but I think the actual answer to why that was a simple fact that they didn't make a whole lot of acolyte stuff. Um, and I think that's the real true. I don't think because it was canceled. I don't think any of that. If they have the stuff, they're gonna try and move it. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
they're gonna try and make the money. So there are acolyte Black Series. There's the helmet that's coming out all the way in 2025, which is ridiculous. That's the other thing that's like wild.
And that's another thing is the space between seasons nowadays is growing to the point where it doesn't even make sense anymore. Like we're gonna get Ahsoka in 2026.
Yeah.
Ahsoka season 2 is gonna come out in 2026. Why? Why are we waiting that whole time for that to come out? You know what I mean? Andor is almost 3 years later. And I think that's also kind of making people upset about these about these shows because it's like, why are y'all taking so long to make these things? Back in the day, man, those things would come out a year apart, you know.
Yeah.
But I get it, you want to make it good, but come on, it's such a huge space.
I mean, for me personally, now at my age, I'm 43 years old.
What?
2 years
Just kidding.
doesn't sound like a long time anymore. It seems like that's just gonna fly by because
I don't know
everything
if
on the podcast has just flown by. So
that's true. That's
I mean,
true.
it
But
it feels like just the other day it was like years until the acolyte drops, and it's dropped and gone
it's
and
over.
dead. So it's like, yeah, it's done. Pretty soon, Skeleton Crew will be the same thing. Hopefully,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
It looks awesome though. Like you know what I mean? Like skeleton, yeah, that looks really, really cool. And the effects in that, the story. And like I said before, this is the type of show I wish would have been out when I was a kid because it's like perfect. Post Return of the Jedi, you're young kids going on an adventure in the galaxy. It's like this is the best. This is the absolute best. And yeah, Bender says we are waiting because Filoni is slaving away at Mando and other shows. Yeah, and Filoni, I don't know how Filoni's sleeping right now because he's writing Ahsoka season 2. He's writing,
But
helping
that should be
write
the easiest
Mando.
show for him to write.
What was that?
That should be the easiest show for him to
Yeah,
create,
but
right?
he's also wants to get it right. But he's also trying to look at the other scripts that are coming to him. You know, he's trying to make sure everything is flowing together. And also, he's producing Mandalorian and Grogu. So he's also kind of focused on that as well. And it's like, man, he's so busy right now. But yeah, you know, I
Okay.
don't know. But anyways, those in the chat, what shows? I know Darth Beard said the shows that they would want released. What other shows would you want to see Lucasfilm announce? Um, I think Vader is, of course, like the number one thing that people would love to see.
Well, that's what we
Um,
think. But if
I
you're in
mean,
chat, yeah, put your number one show that you want to see. I think
yeah,
that'll be an interesting thought exercise. So, James, what are your top three shows that you want to see live action?
well, no, we're talking to the pot. No, I'm just joking. We're talking to them. Not don't ask me. Um, I would a live action or
Live
show.
action.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, my number one is an animated show, so that doesn't work. Um, live action. I would like to see a Vader. Of course, Vader would be something I would love. I would love to witness. I would love to see the training of Palpatine and Plagueis, the passing of that torch, the lightsaber battle. I mean, I would rewrite it to be a lightsaber battle instead of killing him in his sleep. I think it would be pretty cool to see two Sith warriors duke it out. We saw in Clone Wars, and it was amazing when Palpatine was up against Maul and Savage Opress. That was one of the coolest lightsaber battles ever. So I would like to see a live action younger Palpatine fighting with his lightsaber. Um, so that's two. Three would be, I mean, I'm gonna just cheat and say and the animated series in my head, which is the between the Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens with Luke, Han, and Leia, like and Lando. I think that would just be such a great series, a slam dunk for Lucasfilm to do. That leads up to you include Mando and Grogu, include that plot, include everything, have Ben Solo, and just lead all the way up to the Force Awakens, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is cool. Much like the Clone Wars did, I want this show to be that for between 6 and 7.
Do you think at all there would be any way they could get Adam Driver to come back?
I don't think you'll ever get Adam Driver to come back. I think he is done. He is
He's
like,
Dunzo.
I don't need Star Wars in my life anymore.
What if it was Francis Ford Coppola directly?
Bender on the YouTube. I want my own clone trooper I made as a show. It's an interesting idea. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Email it to us. We'll steal it from you. I'm kidding. No.
That
Um.
idea popped up. I'm not stealing your idea, Bender,
Oh.
but that idea popped up if you do a series with during the Clone Wars, but with clone troopers.
Hmm.
And I mean, it would kind of be hard if they took off their helmets. I mean, you'd see Tamira Morrison everywhere. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you could do like shorts or something, I mean, don't go too in depth. Um,
Well, I
Visions.
mean,
I think the creators of Visions have terrific stories, and they're tiny little shorts that we get. That it's like if we just expanded on those ideas. Same thing with the video games.
why not
Lone
do a tale?
Survivor.
We have Tales of the Jedi. We have Tales of the Sith. Why not do Tales of the Clones? Boom. Watcha. I just blew everyone's mind. But no, seriously, you do 6 or 7 or 8 of these episodes with clone troopers, and they're little like 15-minute long stories of these moments in the Clone Wars that you never knew about or that you heard about that now you finally get to see, like maybe the aftermath of this episode where you were like, oh, that was a bummer of an episode. I wonder what happened next, and you really don't see it. I think that would be really cool to see as a Clone Wars. Tales of the Clones would be a really, really good show. Filoni, I would start working on that right now if I were you, because that seems like a great idea.
And they do have all the physical clone armor now that we saw in Ahsoka. So that's just
Yeah,
sitting
that was
there,
great.
getting ready to be just collecting dust, really. So
Darth Beard on YouTube says Disney as a whole are strange. They keep remaking or making sequels no one asked for. Thor 5 after Thor 4, Thor 4 bound. But with Star Wars, they're scared and so secretive. Marvel maps out years in advance. Yeah, it's they treat Star Wars differently than the other projects. Like Pixar, they just announced what like Incredibles 3, Toy Story 5. Am I missing something with Pixar related? And then plus their Disney movies, the remakes that they're doing, and then Marvel. But yeah, you're right. With Star Wars, they're very scared of doing that with Star Wars, and I don't understand why. Because Thor: Love and Thunder was not good. Thor: Love and Thunder was not good. It didn't do well. People did not like it. But we're getting another Thor movie, and it's like, why? Just let it. Just leave it. It's done. Um, but yeah, Star Wars, they just get scared. I honestly think it's because Last Jedi and Solo, that moment in 2017 and 2018 just terrified Disney. And then the numbers of Rise of Skywalker not being as big as The Force Awakens, I think scared Disney, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know what Star Wars fans want," and they pulled back like severely. And I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, Noah says, how we doing, boys? I'd love to see a full series about the Inquisitors. Yes, Inquisitors are very interesting, and I like that we're also getting them in like the video games. We're also getting like books with Inquisitors. Um, and yeah, I agree. Oh, and Darth Beard answered my question. Star Wars fans don't know what they want.
I think they do, and they just don't give it to us. I
Yeah,
think we
it's
all kind of like have a certain like want for certain things, like Old Republic, Knights of Old Republic, Darth Revan, Darth Bane, Darth Malgus. I mean, remake the video game, remake do an adaptation of the awesome books that have been created. It's all right there. It's like, come on, it's. I mean, it's just the weird choices that they're making, where they're taking chances when they could be creating bona fide hits. I mean, it's a weird thing. I don't get it, but from
like
my understanding, it's everyone pitching stuff, and it's just like free wild pitching, and then if someone makes it through, they go to the next level, and they pass that level of executives. They get to Kathleen Kennedy, or they go directly to Kathleen Kennedy, and she just says yay or nay. I don't like that. I do like that, because that's how it appeared with John Knoll in Rogue One. She
mhm.
was like taken with the whole piece of the crawl, take that out and make that an entire movie. I think that's what kind of like excited her. And John Knoll, of course, he's a genius, and he kind of came up with the story and gave that idea and gave that pitch, and she loved it. Thankfully, it was made, and now it's spawned into one of the greatest Star Wars films ever, most beloved, and two episodes or two series or two seasons of a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
And this next season should be really fantastic with Ben Mendelsohn and Alan Tudyk and the origins of K2SO and that whole thing. And who knows? I mean, are we going to get Tarkin? Are we going to get Vader? It'd be a great opportunity to throw Vader in there.
Oh yeah.
And
It just feels like
man.
it just feels like there was a moment where it was like, yes, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. The Last Jedi and Solo came out, and everything just stopped. Everything just halted, and they were like,
Like,
okay,
wait a
never
minute.
mind. What was up?
They were like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
What's going on, guys?
yeah. Rogue One, when Rogue One came out, that was a big deal. And it was huge. I mean, it's not my favorite out of the Star Wars movies. I still enjoy it a lot. It's insane how much Rogue One has grown over the years, how people just hold
Yeah.
that one in such high, high esteem, and everyone considers Rogue One the best of Star Wars now. I don't know, it's just really it's interesting to know that Solo just stopped everything. And because it looked like we were going to get a Star Wars movie every year until the end of time. Like that was whenever before Force Awakens came out, and Rogue One was already announced before Force Awakens. It was like we were kind of told, yeah, you're going to be getting a Star Wars movie every year. Every Christmas, you're going to get a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, the thing I'll say about Solo is when they announced Solo, no one said anything. No one said, "Wait a minute, don't do this." Wait a minute, you're not going to cast Harrison Ford. Don't do. No one said anything like that.
No.
Everyone waited till the movie came out, and then the huge criticisms came. Then people weren't showing up. But I mean, you can attribute some of that to the reception of the Last Jedi, which just dropped like what 6 months prior.
Yeah.
So it was a weird time. I think Disney felt totally unbeatable. There's no way that Star Wars would fail at the box office, and didn't fail. It made its money back, but I mean, it wasn't $1 billion hit like they
Yeah.
suspected. Um, how often do you go back and revisit Solo?
Well, I haven't really watched Star Wars in a while. I know that sounds really bad. I mean, I don't watch it all the time. I watch the animated stuff, but with Solo, I like that's when I want to just be like, oh, I want to watch this. I want to get my popcorn and my soda and just do nothing all day and just watch Solo. It's been a while, but I love it. I think Solo is such a fun movie. I think it's a great Star Wars movie, and the action in it is really good. The acting in it is really good. Um, the story is fantastic, and where it ends, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to see another. I want to see a bigger adventure of this. I want to see this grow, and of course, we didn't get that.
I think Tanny Newton did some of her best acting of her career, and then they killed her.
Yeah, I mean, Woody Harrelson was amazing in Solo.
Wow.
He was like the perfect cast for that role because we all have Harrison Ford in our head, and you're like, well, who else has a lot of swag and very suave and very cool? Then you see Woody Harrelson, you're like, that's perfect, man. He was cast perfectly for that role. And
And I
then of
actually
course,
really liked Rio Durant as well. I thought he
oh,
was a cool
Favreau.
character. Yeah, Favreau. The Favreau actor. Yeah. Favreau's been a couple actors. I guess Rio Durant and Paz Vizsla.
Hmm.
So
Bender on YouTube said, I liked Solo. In my opinion, it was a good story. Yeah, I thought it was great. It's just such a shame that nobody else went to go watch it when it, because you and I saw the opening night or opening day. And then before that, we had just learned that James Mangold was set to direct a Boba Fett movie. Like that came out the same day. The Hollywood Reporter released that article saying James Mangold has been signed to do not a book of Boba Fett, a Boba Fett movie. It was like, oh, this is such a great time to be a Star Wars fan. And then after Solo came out and the numbers came in, the Boba Fett movie stopped. Like nobody talked about it anymore. And then James Mangold then went on to do Dial of Destiny. But but yeah, that was really weird that It's just that opening night. They're like, "Oh God, no! Star Wars is we're scared," and they just stopped.
You remember me telling you about going to those Spurs games last season, and I was sitting behind a guy that looked exactly like James Mangold.
No,
It was so weird. Every time he'd show up, I'm like, should
you're
I
like,
like
"That's
say
him."
something? I mean, could have been his brother. I don't know. But yeah, he looked a lot like him, and he was sitting like in front of me too. So he was paying some pretty good. I think
Mm.
he was pretty much sitting on the court in front of me because I was like in row 7. But
There's
yeah,
another
so
show. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say a solo Disney Plus show would be pretty cool.
do you think they would ever bring back Alden Ehrenreich as to play
No,
Solo? Or do you think
no,
that ship's
it's
never gonna
over.
sail back in?
That's We're never gonna see the rest of that story.
Oh,
It was set up so well for what was about to happen, and it was so unique because it was like, oh, there could be a whole underlying story that you do underneath the original trilogy, and it wouldn't mess up anything. It would be a really, really great addition to Star Wars. You would see this Crimson Dawn and how they're reacting to the
yeah,
Empire and
that's
everything that's
another
happening.
just bam slam dunk. Bring
It was there.
Maul.
It was the first time I'd seen Star Wars and been like, you can this whole series can just be happening simultaneously with 4, 5, and 6. And it would work and it would be so great. And then they oh my goodness. One of my favorite moments in Star Wars is in Solo, and it's the first time Han Solo sees the Millennium Falcon, like that build up to it, and then they walk and you hear the theme playing, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yep, that was really cool. So yeah, basically to sum it up, the news is for these new shows, it's a rumor, but I like the prospects. I'd rather have this rumor than having the exact opposite that there's no shows um, in the roadmap here for Star Wars because I mean Disney Plus. I think that's a great place to put shows, but they just got to do it right. They got to give us content that I think we're all kind of should be excited for. Um, Needs to be fast, needs to be intense, needs to be massive. Um, and I point back to Mando seasons 1 and 2. I mean, that's to me those were huge hits, and you're not always gonna have something like a new character like Grogu. I mean, that was just once in a generation type idea that they had in there. But I mean, it felt like the DNA of Star Wars, and if it's not going to be that, it seems like it has to be something in the vein of Andor, something more adult, more gritty, very very well written. It has to be like that. So, are there known directors out there that want to play in the sandbox? It doesn't appear that way. So you gotta hire young talent that are proven that have done
Mhm.
stuff that's maybe even in the vein of Star Wars. So I hope they do that. So the next thing I want to talk about here is the guy in the silver helmet. Sometimes, um,
Sometimes, 90% of the time. But before we go on, Noah asked if we're excited for Star Wars Outlaws. I am. I'm waiting, to buy the game. I've been hearing mixed things about it,
yeah,
but
I saw something today like why aren't the graphics as good as what they kind of advertise? But I don't know. I haven't played it yet, so
yeah, but we'll see. But I'm excited for it.
I know Colin and Josh will be playing it because they're the hardcore gamers here, and I think they're gonna do like a full review. They'll
Good.
probably go through the whole thing in one day and have a podcast up for you guys. So, yeah, I might buy it and play it. I don't know, but I saw someone make a comment that every creature in the game you can actually interact with and pet, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah,
So,
like I said, maybe I'll get it. But yeah, on to Pedro Pascal, who's in the suit about 2% of the time. So
So yes, this is another article from Bespin Bulletin. It is entitled Pedro Pascal is expected to shoot scenes for Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu later this year. Earlier this month, it was confirmed by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau that the next theatrical Star Wars release, The Mandalorian and Grogu, has officially started principal photography and even shared a very brief teaser for the film, which is due to hit theaters on May 22nd, 2026. One thing that's been speculated and debated is the involvement of the leading man. No, not Grogu, but the internet's favorite daddy, Pedro Pascal.
Jeez.
Of course, Pascal is going to be involved, but the debate has been in what capacity. Due to Pascal's jam packed schedule, many have wondered if Pascal would only be able to provide voiceover work for the character of Din Djarin and wouldn't be required to film scenes in the suit, which isn't a new concept. The vast majority of the time, Pascal isn't in the suit. That honor is bestowed to Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder, and I want to add there's others too. Pascal typically is only in the suit that their scenes needed to be filmed that'll include the character being unmasked, or I should say unhelmeted. It's speculated that Pascal didn't don the Din Djarin costume for season 3 due to his commitments to The Last of Us season 1. Time and cast sensitive scenes were reported to have been filmed ahead of principal photography, and I speculated that's the key word here speculate that perhaps those scenes were for Pascal, who had brief windows of time to film scenes between the various projects from this year, including The Last of Us Season 2, The Materialist, and Fantastic Four First Steps. That might have not have been the case, and those scenes shot could have possibly been for what was shot and shown in the aforementioned teaser that debuted at the D23 Expo. At the time of writing, Pascal is around a month into filming on Fantastic Four First Steps, and filming is expected to run until December of this year, ahead of the film's release in July 2025. Though, in a brief line shared in an article on The Hollywood Reporter, it appears that Pedro Pascal will be making time later in the year to film scenes for The Mandalorian and Grogu. In an article detailing the fallout, Joker actor Joaquin Phoenix dropping out of a Todd Haynes film just days before it started filming, it's mentioned that Pascal's name has been tossed around in regards to filling the Phoenix role. The Hollywood Reporter sources tell them that Pascal is unable to take the role due to Fantastic Four and The Mandalorian shoots, packing the rest of the year out. It felt inevitable that Pascal would be on the screen as Din Djarin, and I personally full expect to see his handsome face on the big screen. It's the first Star Wars film in theaters in 7 years by the time The Mandalorian and Grogu releases. It'll likely be one of the biggest releases of the year, and Pascal is only growing as a star after conquering TV in The Mandalorian and The Last of Us, and thus becoming the internet's favorite daddy or
Jeez.
zaddy. Pascal, I have no idea what that means.
I have no idea.
Pascal is now on an epic film run that begins this year. Pascal can be seen in Gladiator 2 this fall, in Eddington, and The Materialist next year from acclaimed filmmakers Ari Astra and Celine Song, along with debuting in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the summer with Fantastic Four First Steps. In 2026, Pascal's Reed Richards has been confirmed to appear in the highly anticipated Avengers Doomsday, the first Avengers film in 7 years, and in the same month, The Mandalorian and Grogu is due to release, which is
Whoa.
kind of ominous. The Mandalorian Grogu is due to release in theaters on May 22nd, 2026, and is being directed by the Mandalorian creator, Jon Favreau.
Yeah, after who was the actor who was there at San Antonio the superhero car show?
I know who you're talking about, Barry Lowen.
Yeah. So this actor who we were told was in the suit a little bit of Mandalorian, he started telling stories, and the more stories he was telling, the more I was kind of like, how often is he in the suit? And I think what it is, if Mando is sitting in the cockpit, if Mando is walking down the street, if Mando is doing just normal stuff, not just leaning, I think that's him. And then the stuntmen, the other two, main ones, Wayne and why did you do that? Why did you do that? Who's the
Uh,
other
for
the
audio
fighter?
listeners, balloons just came up
Yeah, balloons
on,
just came out of my
James's
screen here.
screen. Yeah, because you did the peace sign. Is that what it is?
As I think that was a peace sign. That's what
That
does the
doesn't do anything
balloons.
for me.
There it goes. There it goes. I
Okay.
got more balloons. But no, the, the more you hear about these actors, the more you kind of just go, okay, Pedro, that's a good gig you have. You just show up and do your voice work, which is not easy. That's a whole performance he's giving. But yeah, he's not on set. He's not hardly ever on set of the Mandalorian show. So it's just the way it goes, and it's kind of funny at the same time. And we found out how many Darth Vaders were there in Obi-Wan Kenobi. There was like 3 or 4 actors dressed as Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan
There's a
Kenobi
bunch of them.
series. Yeah, but no, it makes
Yeah,
sense that
speaking of
Pedro
that,
Pascal will come. Yeah, exactly. I think of Spaceballs right now. You've captured their stunt doubles. But whatchamacallit? Yeah, Pedro Pascal, yeah, it made sense that yeah, he's gonna probably have a month, maybe like a week or two of filming footage for Mando and Grogu, then he's done. And then he'll come back at the end of next year, probably do all the voiceover work. And yeah. Um makes sense. But I'm glad he's there though. I'm glad he's involved. I'm glad you're gonna get to see his face um at least once. That I mean that's the perk of it, knowing if he's gonna be on set, that yeah, you're gonna see his face. So that's good.
yeah, I got to due to Countdown City Geekcast at San Diego Comic Con, I got to be in the press pit, and I got to see Pedro Pascal close up for that Fantastic Four First Steps panel,
Wow.
and I thought he was gonna be a bigger dude. It was kind of shocking to me how small he actually is. But when you see him in the armor, I mean, he fills out totally. So
Yeah.
you have to be a smaller person to be in this armor to look that way. Um, but yeah, it was incredible to see him in person, and yeah, it was such a fantastic. A couple of podcasts back, I kind of detailed the whole San Diego Comic Con experience. If you want to listen to that, but yeah, he's gonna have a huge next few months here, man, because he's gonna be in in the Gladiator Part Two, which sounds really weird to say, but the trailer looks fantastic with Denzel Washington and I think Paul Mescal, some of the returning actors from Gladiator One.
No, just I think it's one
It's just one.
returning. Yeah,
I
it's
thought it was like a couple.
what's her
No,
name? The
is it Connie Nielsen?
yeah, she's the
Okay,
from what I've heard, she's the only person coming back from the first movie.
okay,
And
huh?
then Jonathan Quinn, who
Well, Ridley
played
Scott.
yeah, and then the
Yeah, Joseph Quinn, right?
Joseph Quinn
Yeah.
is going to be playing
He's also playing Johnny Storm, the
yeah,
Human
exactly.
Torch.
He's got to be the new Chris Evans in the new Fantastic Four. But yeah, he's playing like the Emperor. He's going to be like a new
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix in this movie.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Man, Pedro Pascal, it's awesome. Like he just
Yeah.
his career, humble beginnings, small roles, TV shows, and you can go back and see those roles. Like I think Buffy the Vampire and like all these other things, and then
Yeah.
just as soon as Game of Thrones hit, and then Narcos, that was it. And then his career just kept going, and it's not stopping. And I remember somebody said he kind of stole David Harbour's thunder there, and I was like, that's true. David Harbour was kind of on fire there in the mid 20 teens, but now Pedro Pascal kind of took over.
David Harbour?
Yeah,
Oh, as Hopper in Stranger Things?
yeah. Remember, like everybody
I don't
loved
think he
David.
got that big.
He was pretty good. He was pretty big. Everybody liked him.
Really? Wow. Where
Everybody
was
really
I
liked
at?
him.
I know like Pedro is like huge on the internet and like all his accounts and stuff. And man, if you want to laugh, check out his SNL appearances. I think he has two of them. And
Yeah,
oh my gosh, he displays his comedic chops, and they're like really. He is hilarious,
yeah,
man. Especially when he's, I want to say when he is the mother
yeah,
of the one cast member on SNL, the one of the Latino cast members, and he plays that like stereotypical like Spanish mom or
yeah. I've seen
Latino
that one.
mom. Oh man, it is so perfect and so spot on, and it's just hilarious. But yeah, I mean, he's a great actor, of course, and he's gonna have you're gonna get your full dose of Pedro Pascal for
Yeah,
the coming months here. I mean, The Materialist, Gladiator 2, The Last of Us season 2, which I think I know a spoiler for that, and I won't say it, but it involves Pedro Pascal, um, and then Mandalorian Grogu. So there's a lot of Pedro Pascal. Oh, and Fantastic Four, of course,
yeah.
and then the successive skip a year. You get the two Avengers films, Doomsday and Secret Wars, which that those are going to be huge. So
Disney's really happy right now. They're just waiting for the big paychecks to start coming in.
Yeah, they're definitely in the Pedro Pascal business. And I mean, some people out there on the internet really think that there was a thing back in the day. We talked about this like years ago, where there was some type of disagreement on set. Pedro Pascal wasn't too happy with leaving the helmet on. I'm guessing now when he was actually there on set, he wanted to take his helmet off. You know, because I mean, he was
Hmm.
there. I mean, why be there? Why fly in and you're not going to show your face? I mean, you have Latif and Brendan for that. You know, so I can kind of see more so to the point where maybe there was some type of disagreement between Pedro and what they were doing. But I don't know. I mean, he still, even with his face covered most of the time, he still was getting credit and he was getting recognition for playing the Mandalorian. Like people outside of our bubble, they don't know anything.
Yeah,
They're none the wiser that Pedro Pascal is really not in the suit most of the time. So they're just crediting Pedro with his terrific
yeah,
stunt work and performance and the walk and all that
yeah. He
stuff.
gets top billing in the episode, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, cool. But I'm really glad this last season 3 they gave Brendan Wayne and Lakeith uh not like Crowder is
Yeah,
it?
Latif Crowder.
Lateef
Yeah.
Crowder, sorry. They gave them
Credits.
credit in the main like they get their own title card because before they were like way in the bottom of the credits. Now they're like, yeah, they're in the suit. And then, like I said, we found out this other guy was also in the suit because, like I said, he was telling stories about season 1 and season 2 and season 3, and I was just like, wait, who are you? And are you? And then the more he kept talking, yeah, I was like, oh, he's in the suit a lot too, but he doesn't get any credit for that. So
So the guys, the showrunners at Rebel Scum Con, they invited our podcast to have a booth. We did the booth a few months ago, and Latif and Brendan were there. I just didn't get to meet them because I was
oh
at the booth the
jeez.
whole time. So yeah, it was just me running it, and I had all my stuff there.
Yeah,
I
you don't want
had
to
like
walk away from that.
I had like a lightsaber from Galaxy's Edge there as a raffle, and I had all kinds of stuff to give away. But I mean, it was cool. It worked out. I met a bunch of creators and made some new friends. But one thing that we didn't touch on, going back to, um, I guess the Jeff Snyder stuff, there is also a report that he has made. Um, I think that accidentally kind of got out. Um, there have been like constant rewrites for the Daisy Ridley film,
Mm,
and there's actually question as to if the director's going to stay on, and that's just a big rumor right now.
wow.
So, I mean, that director, I mean, I don't think she's done. Has she done? I know she's done documentaries, and she's like an award-winning documentarian.
She's an Academy Award winning
Right.
document. She's done, TV shows. I think she may have done one feature, one small
The
feature.
Marvels, right?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. I
Yeah.
think an
Okay.
episode or two. She did. I think,
And the
if I'm not
Marvels was really good.
mistaken, she did my favorite episode of Miss Marvel, which
Oh
is
yeah, yeah, yeah. Miss Marvel.
when they go to India and like that whole flashback. I was like, this is really cool, man. This is a really good episode. Um, but I think maybe she's done one movie, but yeah, she hasn't anything big. But
Yeah.
but she's like I said, she's an Academy Award winning, director.
Yeah. So that's like the big question right now. Also, I mean, the Sean Levy project. I don't think there's been any kind of news on that, but it's kind of like that thing that Lucasfilm does that I think makes us all kind of cringe, where they're looking for the hot director
Hmm.
type thing. Even though Sean Levy's been attached for a while, it kind of smells of that in a way because I don't think all of Sean Levy's stuff has been great. Um, I mean, did you watch The Free Guy?
No, I did not watch Free Guy.
Okay. Did you watch the what was it called? The Atom Project?
No.
I didn't watch that either. I watched a little bit of it. And I just couldn't get into it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this. But he seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, and he
Um,
likes Star Wars, so he's a Star Wars fan.
right.
So
So I want to say the thing that they let slip is the fact that Sean Levy might be doing something Daisy Ridley centric, something Ray centric. So If it's replacing the current director or if it's something totally different, we don't know. It's just really speculation right now. Um, so we shall see. And yeah, that was the thing I forgot to mention.
Mm.
Um, so do you have anything else more on your boy Pedro?
My boy Pedro. No, it's just bizarre to think that he was in San Antonio in the '90s, and there was a chance that maybe he and I and you and we were all in the same
Oh
area. We didn't even
God,
realize it
yeah,
that he was there.
sliding
Um,
doors moment.
yeah, when I found that out, I was like, no way. It was like, yeah, he was in San Antonio for a little bit in the '90s. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
nothing else to add to Pedro.
yeah. My dad and my brother share the same name, so I've seen that name and heard that name many of times in my life.
uh, Joseph asked, "What is this about the Ray movie?" There's just speculation and rumors going around that the rewrite. There's been a ton of rewrites for the Ray movie, and that the director may not be on. But this is total speculation, all rumors. As we know, there was a rumor that the writer was not on it anymore, and then he was like, "Yeah, I am. I'm still writing it." And then we're like, "Oh, okay, never mind."
Is it
But there
still the
was,
Stephen Knight guy?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because there was that rumor going around that the writer left. They didn't like his script, and he was like, "No, I'm still writing it." So we don't know who to believe or who to trust right now. So that's just the speculation that's going on,
Okay.
and we're not saying it's fact. So I'm just letting everybody know.
And the untitled Sean Levy,
Oh yeah,
the
and
the
Sean
director
Levy's
of Deadpool, Wolverine, might be doing something with Daisy Ridley. That's a possibility.
Joseph Richie says Ray movie lost writer, script was scrapped, new script to be rewritten, movie is now delayed to 2027. If that's true,
Yeah, because Mando Grogu is supposed
most
to come
likely
out
true.
that
I don't know.
May in 2026, and then the
Yeah.
Ray movie is supposed to drop in Christmas time, which I don't think that's the best strategy. They, to me, they need to move Mando Grogu to Christmas
Yeah.
and have Star Wars Christmas once again,
But
and
at the
have one
same
movie per year, and it'll be safe. You'll have time to breathe, time to get all of the negativity or positivity, whatever happens, whatever gets created by this film throughout the fandom. It can kind of wash over, be done. We will all be ready for a new thing. Have Star Wars Christmas. I love it when Star Wars hijacks Christmas for me because
yeah,
I can just
it
tunnel
makes the
vision
year
of that.
better.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
makes the
yeah, I
whole
mean,
because you're just looking forward to the like for me 2015 was I am looking forward to the Force Awakens. Like all
yeah, the Star Wars
2015
Christmas baby was
was
so
Force
good.
Awakens.
Star Wars Christmas.
But you gotta admit though, Mandalorian and Grogu may getting back to the roots, getting back to the OG Star Wars, may release. It makes a little bit of sense for it to be released then.
Yeah.
Um, But Joseph has a lot of news, and you might want to send us an email there, Joseph, and we can probably hit you up for some information, please, because we'll take all the help we can get with our research. But David's actually very amazing with the news and everything. They need a good gap between movies to stop confusion for the casuals. People were asking, "Where's Ray and Solo?" Yeah, I remember people asking, "Where's Ray?" And
That's true.
when Jin Urso, they're like, "Is this Ray's mom?" We're like, "No, it's not Ray's mom. She's
Did
gonna
they
die."
recast Ray?
Yeah, people were people were very confused with Rogue One. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's unfortunate. I hate it when that happens. But I don't know. People like to say we need to give audiences more credit, and then you hear stuff like that. It's like, nah, like, we gotta spoon feed a little bit, and we gotta like make it clear. And that's marketing's job, you know. That should all be in the marketing.
and like I said, I'll always love that D23 Rogue One trailer. Remember that Rogue One trailer they dropped where it was the opening fanfare of A New Hope, and the opening crawls going through, and then it like starts to like come like as soon as it says there was a battle fought, and then then the crawl starts to like come
Wouldn't
up.
that have been so spectacularly great if that's how they started Rogue One?
That would have been amazing. And then you just
Everyone would have gotten chills. Everyone would be screaming. Like A New Hope would start, episode 4, and then the crawl would tilt, highlight, and just pull. Oh my gosh!
It was yeah. That teaser was so good, and let the audience know this is where we are. This is the story we're telling, and And then the other teaser with the Obi-Wan Kenobi's voiceover, talking about, before the dark times for the Empire, and then like the camera pans up and you see like something, and then when you focus in, you realize it's the Death Star, and you're like, oh my gosh. I don't know. Like stuff like that. They need to promote it that way.
Yeah, hype.
Again, here we are, the hype people.
Yep, we should be the hype squad. So yeah, those are the two big topics. Did you have anything else that you wanted to mention, James?
That was about it. These new shows and my again, the hype train for Star Wars and Lucasfilm needs to be there. And I don't think it's Lucasfilm. I think it's Disney for some odd reasons not letting Lucasfilm tell us anything. And I feel like when we were young and the prequels were coming out, we were getting so much stuff and it was so hyped. It was so great. And then out of nowhere, they're like, no, let's keep it hidden. Let's not let everybody know everything. And I think they need to change that up. But yeah, looking forward to see. Hopefully they'll surprise me and announce a new show here in a couple of weeks.
That would be fantastic. So yeah, before we go, I just want to talk a little bit about SpaceCon. If you're watching us on video, you can see the screen there. We'll reveal the two actors that I couldn't name. So yeah, Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Rosario Dawson. They're all going to be there together on the 26th and 27th. And I think I have a little bit of inside info that I can share. These three actors will have their own building to themselves. So
Nice.
there's going to be plenty of room, hopefully. Air conditioned. October, October in Texas is still kind of hot.
It's still kind of
It,
warm,
it
yeah.
can be really hot and it can be cold. I mean, you think about this is the weekend before Halloween, so you look at the guest list here: Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Rosario Dawson, Natasha Liu Bordizzo, Amanda Sfondi. Michael Pena's not in Star Wars, but he'll be there. Giancarlo Esposito, Katie Sackhoff. Oh, I forgot Ahmed Best
Ahmed Best.
and
Oh,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Those are the
Mary
people I
Elizabeth
forgot.
Winstead. You forgot the best Star Wars celebrity. You forgot Ahmed
The
Best.
best Star Wars
Literally the
celebrity.
best. I didn't
So
even realize I
my
was making that
plan
joke.
is I'm gonna take a picture with Ahmed Best here because I didn't get a picture with him at Rebel Scum, but yeah, I finally want to get that picture in San Antonio, and of course Ming Na Wen. I have a lot of Ming Na Wen hot toy, like mini
Wait,
hot
what are you
toys to
saying?
give out.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay. I
What
was,
were you saying?
I was like, what are you talking about?
So Gina Carano will also be there. Ray Park, Ahmed Best, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and you can see all kinds of other people too from Marvel,
Star
from
Trek?
Star Trek. There's gonna be a lot of Trek people there. The biggest, of course, is gonna be William Shatner. I grew up in a Star Trek family as well, and I got to get that photo up, man. He's in his 90s, so
Gosh.
it's terrific that he's going to show up to a convention. And yeah, you got some captains there. And if you scroll down a little bit more, those are all the Star Trek people. You start getting Stargate people as well. And I believe some Battlestar people are
Yeah, I think
sprinkled in
there's
here.
maybe one or two Battlestar
Yeah.
Galactica.
And of course, Katie Sackhoff. Yeah. So, yeah, October 25th through the 27th, SpaceCon. Check it out. I will be there. Colin will be there. I'm going to force James to be there.
It's not that I don't want to go. Okay, don't
James
think
keeps
that
on saying he's not going to go,
fans don't think that
but I'm
I'm
like,
like I don't want to go. I do want to go. It's just it's a little. I'm in California. It's in Texas, so it's a little.
yeah, just it's a simple plane flight or
Oh yeah,
train
yeah,
ride. Or you could drive a car.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
got a
true. I
car,
could
James.
drive. Yeah, I could
Just
drive,
drive.
but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
And yeah, thanks to everyone in the comments
Yes,
here.
thank y'all for watching
Yeah, Darth Beard with a lot of great insight. Bender, of course.
and
Also,
Joseph Ritchie. Thank you for jumping on. And yeah, like I said, if you have information, Joseph, email us at Star Wars Stuff Podcast at gmail.com. Uh, we'll take we'll like news sources, everything. Yeah, we'll check all that out. So yeah, thank you for giving us some of that information.
yeah, Noah Richer also in the chat. So, yeah, you can
Bender.
email us anytime at Star Wars Stuff Podcast at gmail.com. We're also on Instagram at Star Wars Stuff Pod. Twitter, if you're watching us there, thank you so much. We get a lot of viewers on Twitter. I don't know what changed, but a lot of people like to watch us on Twitter now. We're
Hey,
at Stuff Pod. Threads at Star Wars Stuff Podcast. You can always support us on Patreon. That money goes towards all of our equipment, our trips, financing stuff. So it helps out a lot. TikTok, just search up Star Wars Stuff Podcast. Of course, the email that I shared earlier, StarWarsStuffPodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Check us out there. Star Wars Stuff group and a page. And rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 stars. Give us a good word. And yeah, that is pretty much it. For James, my name is David. And may the force be with you.
Always.
Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Hit the wrong button again, guys.
We're rusty, guys.
Yeah, we're a little rusty here.
Should we just do the podcast like this in the future where it's just like happening in the background?
Just in the background, yeah.
I think it's gonna like cycle back through.
All right, y'all have a great evening, and we'll talk to y'all later.
All right, guys. Adios. I'll see y'all later.